You are listening to Herbal Marie, a podcast about herbs and home remedies to heal yourself. All advice shall be considered suggestions. Please research all herbs before using and discover ways to feel better and be well. Thank you for joining Herbal Marie on this herbal adventure. Together, we are exploring each card of the Herbal Tarot deck by Michael Tierra and Candace Canton. As stated in their wonderful book, The Spirit of Herbs, the Herbal Tarot is a useful introduction to the art of herbalism, as well as to the mysticism of the tarot. The symbolism of these beautiful cards offers us understanding on so many levels about the healing messages of our plant friends and how these plant beings can be teachers and healers of body, mind, and spirit. The tarot helps us to see the greater truths and guidance that dwells within our own heart space, that we can call upon for greater balance, helping us take responsibility for our own lives and creations. Through its symbols, our own inner knowing and understanding are revealed. Today, we are going to focus on one card of the Herbal Tarot and its featured herb. We will talk about its spiritual and medicinal properties, the dose and preparation. We'll talk about the key words and meaning of the card, along with its herbal allies. Then we will end the podcast with an affirmation. An affirmation is a vibrational prayer said over and over again each day so that a more positive and healing energy can be manifested for body, mind, and spirit. So, are you ready to explore and expand? Great. Let's connect with the Herbal Tarot. Today, we are talking about the tarot card, the Chariot. The featured herb that we are going to get to know better is Cyperus. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another tarot podcast. I have been staring at this guy on my desk for a couple weeks now, and finally today, I really started to tap into this kind of good energy that November's bringing in, and from the 11/11 portal, and I was like, you know what? I'm finally feeling the drive and ambition to do this podcast. And he was like looking at me like, honey, I've been ready. So we're talking about the Chariot today. This is definitely, I guess, a warrior. The Chariot is a war vehicle traditionally, but it doesn't feel that way with the Herbal Tarot. I don't feel like I don't think he's a killer, but I think he does look very, very driven and focused, and it's a really cool looking card. There's a yin yang, or some people say yin yang. There's a yin yang sign on the front of his card, front of his chariot, and he's holding on to. He doesn't have reins. There's no dogs or lions. There's no animal pulling this chariot as you might see on other tarot cards. He's just holding on to the Cypress, those are his reins, and I guess he's just gonna use his focus and will and drive to move this thing. So behind him is a town, I guess. I'm like, what's going on here? Maybe the village is behind him, maybe a larger village. He is dressed, he's got a coat, cape, cloak. What the hell? What am I looking at here? He's got a cloak with sun and moons, and he's got a hat with a star and a red feather in it, and he's blonde hair and with a darker beard. He's attractive. He's definitely attractive. And then there's a cypress plant in front of him. So that's the Chariot card, what I'm looking at. I don't connect with this card as much as like I have like with the High Priestess and the Magician and ones like that. But this is a card that we probably all want to connect into, because if we want balance and direction in our life, like this type of energy in the story of the tarot is important for us, to just gain that balance within ourselves. So my personal life, would I love to be more balanced, to have more focus and drive and ambition? Yes, absolutely. Especially after this summer that I've had, and if you're following me over on the podcast Herb Oracle, you know all about my crazy life. Separating from like a 12-year-long marriage, that was pretty crazy. Then my mom got in a motorcycle accident. That was pretty crazy. Like, talk about having a few life events that can really shake a person or just throw you off. You know what I mean? It's like, geez, why haven't I had any time to research herbs and put together nerdy podcasts? No. Because your life is screwed up. And it's totally distracting. But I'm really feeling like I'm ready for the Chariot, because like a lot of the distractions that I've had are simmering down. Like, things are simmering down now, and I'm regaining that willpower, that drive, and that ambition, and literally just the ability to focus. Because for a while I couldn't even focus, it just wasn't a priority. So I'm ready to tap in to the Chariot. And I'm not just saying that because he's a handsome fella. Like, I want this energy for myself in my life, and you will too. So let me just dive into it and tell you what I learned in my research about the Chariot. All right, so number 7, the Chariot. I dove in, and here's what I found. The Chariot represents action with a plan. We're talking progress, we're talking confidence. Addressing contradictory energies is what the Chariot is about, and using your will to force and control and balance these contradictory energies. So it's dealing with conflicting poles outside of yourself and within yourself, like a battle of dark and light for sure. And with the Chariot, it's a success and victory if you can get them to work together. So when you get this Chariot upright in one of your readings, it can indicate a lot of different things. It can be about victory and success. The Chariot upright is about strength and mastery, like mastery over your emotions and just discipline in your life. The Chariot can definitely be talking about travel in your life, that you can handle a lot, you can multitask, you're not afraid of hard work. There could be a career change if you pull the Chariot, or a shift in direction. So when you pull the Chariot and it's upright, it's a message to implement your plan, move, start it, do not stop, keep going forward. You got to focus on your goal. You got to use your willpower and have control of your mind. So these are all great things to get in a reading if you pull the Chariot upright. It's all about action and determination, overcoming obstacles, progression. It means you are a strong character, and you can direct this controlled energy, right? If you get it upright, that's good. Like your Chariot, you're holding it steady, you're finding your balance. It takes a little bit of practice, hard work, and talent to drive a Chariot. So if you get it reversed, it's going to be telling you that you have a loss of control going on, maybe in your life, maybe in your emotional state. A reversed Chariot means unqualified or a mismatched energy. So talking about travel, if you get the Chariot reversed when you're asking a traveling question, there's a travel advisory for you, Maybe you want to recheck things. Reversed, it can definitely represent failure. And this was funny, failure to admit failure. Like, you just don't know when to quit, do you? So if you get the Chariot reversed, it's like, slow down, buddy. Quit making it worse. You're going in the wrong direction. The Chariot reversed upside down means a message of being undisciplined, not cautious, a lack of direction. You're feeling the opposition. Maybe you're collapsing under pressure. It definitely indicates misguided energy if you get it reversed. Maybe you're not confident. Maybe you can't move forward. Maybe you're overreacting. Maybe you should just calm the F down. And if you get it reversed, it's also a good indication that you're wasting your time. Jeez, well, I'm so glad none of us ever waste our time, right? Like, no waste of time going on here. Podcasting is a valid use of one's time. So talking about tarot, talking about herbs, I would say that's a really good use of time. So I just want to take 1 second right now and thank all my patrons who have stepped up on Patreon to support the podcast Herbal Marie. I got like 24 of y'all now. Yeah, that's right. 24 people think this podcast is worth $1. So I can pretty much pay my garbage bill. Thank you. All right. So anyways, if you don't have $1, it's cool. You could like tell a friend. You could share it on Facebook. You could help spread the word. Do a nice review. I mean, hey, there's lots of ways to help out if you dig this podcast. All right. End plug. So you ready to jump into the book with me? The Spirit of Herbs by Michael Tierra and Candace Canton. We're on page 38 if you want to read along, because I'm thinking by now you probably bought yourself this deck and the book. If you buy just the deck, it does come with this little book, which is actually a little different than the big book. So we will cover it all. I will leave no stone unturned. We will share this info. But yeah, all right, if you're reading along, here we go. We're talking about number 7, the Chariot. And we're going to talk about Cyperus, which is Cyperus rotundus, and this is in the sign of Cancer. Okay, so let's read, since I have blessings and permission to do so. All right, so the Chariot is the peaceful warrior who has learned how to harness the energy of his will and is receptive to the inner guidance that is always flowing to him. His body and his personality are symbolized by the Chariot. He uses this vehicle during his manifestation here on earth as an expression of his true self. Ruled by Cancer the crab, he is protected against the bombardment of thoughts from the world around him, symbolized by the city or the race consciousness from which he has separated himself. Okay, I'm going to interrupt myself because when I was looking at that card, I was like, it seems like he's driving away from the village. Like, I was like, what's up with the village or the town? That is really cool. So the town is representing race consciousness, like groupthink, like everyone who can't think for themselves, they just go along with whatever society tells them to do, be, or say. They just, hey, think for me, right? That type of person. So he has separated himself from that bullshit. And now he is liberated from any old patterns that bind him. And he has learned to distinguish the true desires of the enlightened self from the compulsive desires of an unawakened self. So how beautiful is that? Liberating ourselves from the bombardment of thoughts from the world around us. See what I mean? I want to be a freaking chariot. So let's continue on here. Within himself, he embodies all the teaching from the first 6 keys. The celestial symbols on his hat and robe indicate the larger reality that he can now perceive and work with. The blue color denotes the high priestess's consciousness to which he is connected. He is taking the middle way between the polarities of life. Thus, he has reconciled the lovers within. He is learning how to control his moods and emotions by stilling his mind and listening to the inner guide or the high priest. And he is using the power of concentration, which is the gift given to him from the magician. The emperor has taught him how to organize his activities and rule over his domain. And from the empress, he has found the place of peace in his heart. By embracing these gifts, he is victorious. Oh my God. Okay, now I definitely want to be a chariot. I want to be the chariot. I want to be the chariot. I mean, it's so perfect. And I feel like I'm well on my way, actually. Oh my God, maybe I am the chariot already. I'm really coming into it. If I'm not already the chariot, I am so stinking close. Because I have stepped away from race consciousness, from groupthink. Oh my goodness, against the grain is my middle name. Like I really have always went against society and made the choice to think for myself. I don't care if everybody is thinking one way. That doesn't mean I have to think that way. So I have definitely liberated and separated myself, really trying to break old patterns that bind me. And I liked it how it said that he learned to distinguish the true desires of the enlightened self from the compulsive desires of an unawakened self. So that's like definitely something in life, like we need to learn how to distinguish what our ego wants and what our higher mind wants. I mean, it's definitely 2 different definitions of the word desires. So yeah, that's so cool that like everything that we looked at in this card, like the blue color is from the high priestess, and then like the moon and stars, that's, talking about his celestial connections now. I liked that part. And everybody taught him something. He reconciled those lovers, right? He is taking the middle way between the polarities of life. And I think that's good advice for us too. We don't need to be left or right. We don't have to be this or that. Like there is a middle way. There is a middle road that a lot of people don't always choose, but it's becoming more and more important for more of us to be that anchoring balance in this world. So the the high priest taught him how to use the power of concentration. No, wait, that was the magician. The magician taught him that. Stilling his mind and listening to his inner guide was from the high priest. And yeah, the empress gave him that place of peace in his heart. So yeah, the chariot is definitely one well-rounded dude. So now we're going to learn more about Cyperus, the herb of regulating energy. We're going to get to know Cyperus a little bit better. So there is another, in this book, they always tell you the herbal ally. If you can't get a hold of Cyperus, the herbal ally listed is Poria cocos, which is a mushroom. So that's pretty interesting. So Cyperus, the herb of regulating energy. The spiritual properties of Cyperus. Cyperus teaches the way of the middle path. It has the capacity to help regulate energy and is especially useful for those who experience mood swings from joy to depression or energy swings from high activity to no activity. It is a drying herb and so will help to dry up or regulate unneeded emotions or / water within. The three-sided stem of Cyperus is a signature of this herb's ability to help body, mind, spirit function as a whole rather than in disjointed parts. As can be seen in this card, the charioteer is holding the cypress, which is symbolic of his controlling his energy and will. So those are the spiritual properties of Cyperus, the herb of regulating energy. So medicinally, the root of Cyperus was used as a source of food by the Native Americans and is used by the Chinese as an important herb for regulating qi, or bodily energy. Thus, it aids in the regulation of digestion, menstruation, moods, and all natural physical and emotional cycles. It is useful for gas, bloating, and indigestion. For menstrual irregularities, it can be taken with other women's herbs such as dong quai and peony. Cypress is not good for those who are very dry constitutionally or who are wasted due to disease. And in bold letters, disclaim out the wazoo. Caution, this herb is forbidden during pregnancy. So medicinally, you can make a decoction. For a decoction, you would put 1 ounce of cypress root in 1 pint boiling water and simmer 20 minutes. And you can take 2 to 3 cups per day. So what an interesting herb. I've not ever had it, but that's kind of interesting. I mean, hey, it's useful for gas, bloating, and indigestion. Sure. Regulation of digestion, menstrual irregularities, moods. I would love to see if it how that balances you out. I think I would maybe want to take it more for the spiritual properties, if I'm being completely honest, because I would just love to stay secure and riding solo in that middle ground. I love the middle ground. I love not siding with left or right. I love not giving a flying flip about politics, being like, you guys are ridiculous. Here's the road I'm taking, right up between the two of you, middle ground, keeping it balanced because I've got it together because I'm the chariot. So, the chariot, the key words for this card. It's all about, when we're using it in tarot, it's all about direction from within, knowledge of inner powers and strengths, ability to regulate and manifest one's life. Another key word is need to filter out group or race thoughts. So maybe the chariot, you might get it reversed and it's like, oh my gosh, I need to think for myself. Or need to use one's power towards goodwill. Need to allow the emotions to be released. And it could indicate mood swings. It could indicate taking the middle way. Need to contact the watery part in one's self. So there's a lot of different ways that you can interpret this card when you're doing tarot readings. So just to recap, the Chariot, Cypress, Cyperus regulates the energy of the whole body. It is used for moodiness, gas, symptoms that come and go, and menstrual regularities. It also has, I'm reading from the tiny little book now. It says Cancer, ruled by the moon, exalts Jupiter. So symbolically, it's been used for trouble regulating one's energy, swings in moods from depression to joy. If you've got trouble digesting food, Cyperus is not for an individual with dryness, and not for an individual with a tendency towards hyperactiveness. The divinatory meaning is direction from within, knowledge of inner powers and strengths, and ability to regulate one's life to manifest the highest potential. So the Chariot, all about triumph, all about will, unless it's reversed. And then it might be about an overbearing personality, stubbornness, insensitivity, cruelty, or even hostility. So yeah, I mean, a very powerful card in the Herbal Tarot. Of course, you probably want to get it upright, but if you get it reversed, I mean, it could be a great card to just let you know when you're off your path or headed in the wrong direction, or just don't have your energy lined up. Because if you're misguided, don't you want to know about it? All right, well, thanks so much for hanging out for another Herbal Tarot podcast with me. Now we're going to end this podcast with the affirmation from the Chariot. So get comfortable. We're going to repeat it a few times. It's with my heart as my guide. I use my will and power to be victorious in all that I do. So let's take a deep breath and envision ourselves as the Chariot, being receptive to the inner guidance that is always flowing to us. With my heart as my guide, I use my will and power to be victorious in all that I do. With my heart as my guide, I use my will and power to be victorious in all that I do. With my heart as my guide, I use my will and power to be victorious in all that I do. And so it is. Thanks again for joining me on this Herbal Tarot adventure. And much love and many thanks to Michael, Tiara, and Candace Canton for creating these beautiful cards. You can definitely enhance your fun by owning your own copy of the Herbal Tarot and its book, The Spirit of Herbs. And you can purchase the deck, the whole set, the book and the deck, directly from the East-West School of Planetary Herbology by visiting them at planetherbs.com. That's planetherbs.com. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks for listening. Support this podcast by becoming a patron. You'll gain access to PDF downloads and Herb Nerd notes. Visit herbalmarie.com and become a patron today.